Welcome to the Card Attic. This is part 4 of episode 1, my review of the 1978 Topps Football Card Set. Today's part includes my review of the highlights / record breakers from the 1977 season chosen by the Topps crew, and also my take on some of the nicknames, the creative nicknames of the players, and how Topps represents them on their cards. So let's start off with the highlights. As I mentioned, the first 6 cards in the set are the highlights cards, and they seek to find out either record breakers or interesting events or occurrences that occurred during the 1977, the previous season's year, and include them in the 78 set. Well, in my opinion, of the top 5 events, Topps only uses one as one of their highlights. In my opinion, here are the top 5 highlights of the 1977 season. Number 1, Billy White Shoes Johnson. Now, this man, one of the greatest nicknames, one of the greatest end zone dances, was able to use it 3 times this year in returns, kick returns. 2 punts returned for over 70 yards for touchdowns and 1 kick return. I think that's amazing. Should have been a highlight. Poor Billy, no love in Topps. The second most important event of the year would have been Walter Payton's 275 yards in a game. We saw the card earlier. It is going to be one of the highlights, and that's the one they do occur, but I've got some interesting information about that game that Topps did not include. Another significant event, I believe, this year would be, or a highlight for this year would be the rookie Tony Dorsett. At one point, scores an 84-yard touchdown run. As many of us know, that won't be his longest run. He's going to score a 99-yard touchdown run later in his career. But in his rookie year, scored an 84-yard touchdown run en route to a 1,000-yard rushing season. I thought that would have been a significant highlight. Topps, not so much. This is the Ghost to the Post year. Come on! It's one of the NFL games that has its own nickname. This is where Ken Stabler tosses a post pattern route to Dave Casper, the Ghost to the Post. He does that amazing over-the-shoulder catch in the divisional playoff game for the Raiders to beat the Colts and move on in the playoffs, and does not even get a highlight card. I think one of the greatest performances by Bob Greasy occurred during this season. As we all know, the Dolphins were a running team, not a passing team. And they had those great backs, Zonk and Mercury Morris, Paul Warfield. And so Bob was never asked to do a lot of passing. But on this year, on Thanksgiving Day, the rare Thanksgiving game that does not include the Lions or the Cowboys, the Dolphins took on the Cardinals. And Bob threw 6 touchdown passes in one game on Thanksgiving. I think that would be a significant event. Topps, nah, not so much. All right, here are the 6 cards that Topps chose, or the 6 events that Topps chose, and I can kind of see what they were thinking. The first one, card number 1, has to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this is why. Topps has got to show the Bucs some love. This is Tampa Bay's 2nd season in the league, and they are just awful. The first year they went 0-14. The second year, this year, 1977, they go 0-12. So they have 26 games under their belt without a win until the second to the last game of the season. And who do they play? They play the St. Louis Aints. So it just shows you it wasn't a tough win, but they beat beat the New Orleans Saints, the Aints, many of them called, the second to the last game of the season for their first NFL win. They actually won the last game of the season as well against the Cardinals. Not too great. So they finished the year 2-12. But they got to include that. Give the Bucs some love. All right. This one here was interesting. They include the Broncos going to the Super Bowl as a highlight. Well, I kind of see that again. I mean, there was a trend. This is the Broncos had only been in the NFL since 1970. And the first 2 years they joined the NFL, they came in last place, 4th in their division. So they were 4th in 1970, 4th in 1971. 1972, they jumped up to 3rd place. 73, they jumped up to 3rd place. And for the last 3 years, they've been in 2nd. They finished first in their division in 1977, and as a quirk, make it all the way to the Super Bowl. So, but I don't know. I wouldn't consider that a highlight, but whatever. This is the big highlight. This is the one I felt was a big event for the year, and so did Topps. Walter Payton rushes for 275 yards in one game. This breaks the NFL record at the time. And again, he was still young in his career, en route to 1,800 yards and the NFL MVP for this year. So that's significant. What Topps did not include, they do a little blurb and a little write-up here, but what Topps did not include was that Walter Payton woke up that morning with a 101 fever. And he was fighting flu symptoms during that morning, and he played anyway. So this is Walter Payton's version. This is before Michael Jordan's flu game. This is the Walter Payton flu game. He did it first, and so he deserves that one. OJ, Okay, so OJ, we give him this game here. In this game, he against the Baltimore Colts, he passes 10,000 career rushing yards. And that is significant because he's only the second player to do that. The first one was the great Jim Brown. And so OJ passes him here in the 77 season. Not such a great game, though. The Bills won the game 3-0. OJ didn't even break the end zone. But he passed him on. Now, OJ would eventually play a couple more years. He'd end up with 11,000 yards. I guess I could go back to this one. So Peyton breaks the NFL record for most yards in a game. He's now fifth on the lead. Adrian Peterson owns the record with 296. And O.J. Simpson now ranks about, so he was number 2 under Jim Brown for a long time, but he's now up down to like 21st, 24th place, something like that. All right, this one, I don't know what Topps was even thinking. Fran Tarkenton goes 17 of 18 for what a great high passing percentage for this game. Whoa. He doesn't even finish the game. He gets injured, and he's out for the rest of the season. And so he was 17 for 18 in like the first 2.5 quarters. Okay, and then he's out. So it's not even like that was his record for the game. He didn't even finish the game. So I don't know why they include that. And this one I just think is funny. The Bears make the playoffs. Woo! But we don't put Walter on there. We don't put the NFL MVP. No, it's Bob Thomas's field goal. That's what sends them into the playoffs. And why is it so significant? Well, the Bears haven't been to the playoffs for 13 years. They have a 13-year drought. They were last in the playoffs in 1963. So I guess it's funny that the Bears don't make the playoffs very often, and when they do, they don't put Walter on there. It's just like the 85 Super Bowl where they don't give Walter the touchdown. All right, now, I take issue with some of those highlights. I also take issue with Topps and their choice of nicknames. So there are a couple of cards where Topps includes the nicknames of players, and I just love player nicknames. I think they're fun, they're cool. We should have more of them. We should include more of them. But Topps chooses only one card in the whole 1978 set to include the player's full name, Ed Jones, and his nickname in quotes, Ed Too Tall Jones. And yes, we know Ed is too tall. He's 6'9", and it was a force for the doomsday defense there for the Dallas Cowboys for many years. And so I'll give him that. He deserves it. But so do other people. They deserve it too. They got fabulous nicknames, but Topps doesn't feel the need. So here, this first set is players who nicknames are included, but they're not in quotes. So here's good old Skip. His first name is Alonzo, but we don't put Skip in quotes. No, he doesn't get the quotes. Rocky Blyer. Robert Blyer, certainly. Come on. Vietnam vet. He should get his nickname in quotes. No love there. John Spike Jones does not get the nickname. All right, I got to include it. This was funny when I was 10 years old. All right. We still have no data as to how Charles Clark got this nickname. They say it was back in high school or college, and nobody's talking, so I don't know. There's no reason. Douglas Dilts, Okay, you can see why Doug Dilts would probably want to go by Bucky, but he gets no quotes. Here's another cowboy. You think we could get Butch Michael Johnson in there? No, Butch doesn't get quotes. All right. Now, there's another number of players who have fantastic nicknames as well, but do not get the nicknames even on here. Ted Mad Stork Hendricks. Okay, maybe they couldn't fit Mad Stork in there. I'll give him that one. And Thomas Henderson. You can't put Hollywood on there. There's probably just not enough room. I get that. You got to put Mean Joe Green. There's plenty of room. If they can put Too Tall on there, they can put Mean in front of there. Come on, they can get the room, but they don't. How about Sam Bam Cunningham? Come on, they could fit that in there now. Cunningham's pretty long, maybe on there. But the Snake, you got to put Kenny the Snake. Well, okay, they put it in a cartoon on the back. But come on, the Snake, you got to put that on there. So I don't know why Topps loves Ed Jones, doesn't love anybody else. All right, that's my nicknames package. This concludes part 4 of episode 1, my review of the 1978 Topps Football Card Set. This segment included my review of the highlights, record breaker cards, and those funny nicknames that they include. If you enjoyed any particular part of this, please give me some comments, and part 5 is coming soon. Thank you for visiting the Card Attic.